Before the day begins, before the alerts, the demands, the opinions, and the noise, there's a moment most people rush past: silence. And it's in that moment, before anything else gets a say, that the tone for the entire day is set. Choosing to begin the day in silence isn't about mysticism or pretending to have it all figured out. It's about being deliberate. It's about reclaiming ownership over the first few minutes of your waking life instead of handing them over to a glowing screen or the weight of an overflowing to-do list. Silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means listening to yourself, to your breath, to the room, to what you might actually need before everyone else starts telling you what they think you need. What happens in the first 5 minutes of the day ripples into everything else. If you wake up and immediately open your phone, you're giving the world permission to shape your mindset. One angry email, one comparison, triggering post, one piece of news, and your peace is gone before your feet hit the floor. That's not starting the day, that's reacting to it, and living in reaction mode slowly robs you of clarity, of presence, and of control. Starting with silence is the opposite of that. It's a decision to be intentional, even if just for a short time. Sit up, keep the phone face down, feel your feet on the floor, take a few slow, deep breaths, ask yourself one simple question, asterisk, what matters most to me today? Asterisk, not what's urgent, not what's on someone else's agenda, but what will actually make the day feel purposeful. This habit doesn't require an hour. It doesn't require candles or yoga pants. It requires discipline, a commitment to yourself that your peace isn't something you stumble into by accident. It's something you prepare for daily. Silence creates space, and in that space, you'll start to notice things. Maybe it's the way your heart speeds up when you think about that difficult conversation ahead. Maybe it's that tension in your shoulders you didn't realize was there. Maybe it's the quiet excitement about an idea you've been pushing aside. Whatever it is, silence lets you hear it, and that awareness is a superpower. This isn't about being perfectly calm every morning. Life doesn't work like that, but building the habit of beginning in quiet teaches you to check in before you check out. It gives you a moment of truth before the world demands performance, and the more you do it, the more you'll find that silence isn't empty. It's full of information, strength, and clarity. People talk about morning routines like they're trendy, but the best ones aren't complicated. They're consistent. And starting the day with 5 minutes of stillness is one of the most practical, powerful habits anyone can master, because it teaches you the most important lesson of all. Before you can show up for the world, you have to show up for yourself. And showing up for yourself doesn't always look like hustling or producing. Sometimes it looks like doing nothing but breathing, noticing, and choosing your posture, mentally and emotionally, for the day ahead. That is not weakness, that's leadership, that's ownership. That's how calm becomes your default, not your reward. You don't need more time, you need more awareness, and that begins in silence every day. Every day presents choices, some loud, some quiet, but there's always one that matters more than it seems, the choice to say no. This isn't the dramatic, door-slamming kind of no. It's not anger or rebellion. It's the calm, intentional no. The one that quietly draws a line in the sand and says, this is what I can carry, and that is not mine. It's easy to think of no as something negative, something that lets people down. But, in reality, every healthy no protects a bigger yes. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. Every single day there will be a demand. Someone will want your time, your energy, your help, your attention. And while some of those requests will be valid, others won't be yours to own. If you say yes to all of it, just to keep the peace, just to avoid guilt, just to maintain appearances, then by the end of the day, you'll have nothing left for yourself. That's not strength. That's burnout in slow motion. Boundaries are a form of clarity. They tell the world who you are, what matters to you, and what you're not willing to compromise. And the truth is, people who respect you will respect your boundaries. People who don't respect you will be offended by them. And that's not your problem to solve. Mastering the habit of saying one strong no a day is like building a muscle. At first, it's uncomfortable. You might feel guilt or second-guess yourself. That's normal. We've been conditioned to believe that saying no makes us difficult or unkind. But over time, you begin to see that the discomfort of saying no is nothing compared to the resentment that comes from saying yes to things that drain you. Here's the key: you don't have to say no with an apology. You can say it with honesty and compassion. I can't take that on right now. I appreciate the ask, not in the noise. That doesn't align with my priorities today. Those are full sentences. They don't need disclaimers or a 5-paragraph explanation. They just need to be true. The power of one daily no isn't just in the refusal itself. It's in the confidence it builds. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're reinforcing a simple but powerful truth. Asterisk, you get to choose how your energy is spent. Asterisk, and that's a kind of freedom no one else can give you. It also sets a tone in your relationships. When people know that your yes means yes, and your no means no, they begin to trust you more, not less. You become someone who's reliable, not because you always say yes, but because you know your limits and honor your word. This habit doesn't just protect your time, it protects your peace. It gives you space to focus on what actually matters. And it teaches others how to treat you, not by demanding respect, but by modeling it. One clear no a day. That's it. That's the habit. Not 5, not 10, just one. Whether it's to a meeting you don't need to attend, a favor that drains you, or an internal voice trying to push you past your edge, draw the line. Honor it. Because when you practice saying no with confidence, you're not shutting people out, you're keeping yourself in alignment. And a person who is aligned with their values, their time, and their purpose becomes unshakable. You don't need to be everywhere. You don't need to please everyone. You just need to remember this. Asterisk, every no is a decision to honor your yes. Asterisk, and that's where real power begins. Communication is more than just words. It's energy. It's timing, it's tone, and most of the time, it's not what you say that people remember. It's how you made them feel when you said it. That's why tone matters. It sets the temperature of every conversation, and when you master it, you don't just speak, you lead. We often forget that tone is the first thing someone hears, even before they process the actual message. A message said in a calm, steady voice lands completely differently than the same message said in a rushed, sharp, or irritated tone. You could have the right answer, the best idea, or the most reasonable request, but if your tone feels aggressive, sarcastic, or defensive, your message won't get through. It'll be met with resistance, not understanding, and this isn't just about talking to others. It starts with awareness. Being in tune with your own emotional state before speaking is a form of emotional intelligence. Are you speaking from a place of calm or from a place of reaction? Are you responding or are you venting? Because when emotion takes the wheel, tone follows right behind. And once you've said something in the wrong tone, it's not easy to pull it back. Mastering tone means mastering pause. It means being willing to breathe before you speak. Just a few seconds. That space between thought and speech is where control lives. It's where you decide how you want to show up, not just what you want to say. And that decision can be the difference between connection and conflict. Here's the truth. Calm is not weakness. It's strength under control. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can snap or get loud or talk over someone. That's easy. What's rare and powerful is someone who can stay centered when the situation invites chaos. Someone who can hold their tone even when emotions rise. That's influence, and tone doesn't just show up in hard conversations. It's in how you say good morning. It's in how you greet someone when you're distracted. It's in how you say I'm busy, and not now, or I'll get to it later. The smallest comments, when spoken in the wrong tone, can feel like rejection or judgment. But the same words, spoken with kindness and intention, can keep trust intact. This is why owning your tone is a daily habit, not just a crisis tool. You don't wait until conflict shows up to practice it. You build it into your everyday speech, you slow down, you listen more, you remind yourself that the goal of communication isn't to win, it's to connect, to be understood, and to understand. And when the moment comes, when someone challenges you, frustrates you, or pushes your buttons, owning your tone becomes your superpower, you'll be able to diffuse tension, not escalate it. You'll stay grounded while others lose their footing. And people will notice, not because you talk the most, but because your presence says more than your words ever could. The goal isn't perfection. You won't always get it right, but awareness is the key. Catch yourself. Adjust, apologize when necessary, and commit to showing up with intentional tone, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Because at the end of the day, your tone is your signature. It's what people remember. It's what builds or breaks trust. And when your words and your tone are in alignment, you become the kind of communicator that people want to listen to. Not because you demand attention, but because you've earned it. Connection doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't require big gestures, dramatic reunions, or long speeches. More often than not, it's built in the quiet, consistent, intentional check-ins we make with the people around us. That's the power of reaching out once a day with purpose. It might be a simple text, thinking of you. How are you really doing? It might be a phone call, a voice memo, or a short conversation during a coffee break. What matters most isn't the form, it's the intent. And when the intent is real, people feel it. In a world that's always moving, always scrolling, always chasing the next thing, real connection stands out. We're more digitally connected than ever, but loneliness is still one of the most common emotional struggles people face. Why? Because likes and emojis aren't the same as presence. Because someone showing up for 5 quiet minutes without judgment, without agenda, that's rare. And rare is powerful, so build the habit. Once a day, reach out to someone not because you have to, but because it matters. And don't wait for a special occasion. Don't wait for bad news or major life updates. Show up in the ordinary moments. That's where trust is built. That's where relationships deepen. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to mean it. A genuine, "Hey, I'm here if you need anything," can go further than a dozen empty platitudes. People remember how you made them feel. And when someone feels seen, they lean in. And this isn't just about others. It's about you too. Checking in with someone creates a moment of pause, a break from your own stress, your own deadlines. It gives you perspective. It reminds you that you're not alone and that your words have power. Sometimes just saying, "I was thinking about you today," helps someone get through something you didn't even know they were carrying. The habit also strengthens emotional muscles we tend to neglect: empathy, patience, vulnerability. Because you can't reach out meaningfully without opening up a little, without being willing to listen, to ask deeper questions, or to be silent when silence is needed. That's emotional maturity, and like any skill, it gets stronger with practice. You'll find over time that certain people respond right away. Others won't. Some conversations will be light, others heavy. Some may feel awkward at first. That's okay. Consistency is more important than comfort. The people who matter will begin to recognize your effort, and they'll start showing up too. Make it a non-negotiable, one person, once a day, a partner, a friend, a sibling, a coworker, anyone you want to keep connected to. And when you do, resist the urge to multitask. Be all there. Put the phone down. Make eye contact. Listen without waiting to talk. Sometimes that's all someone needs, not solutions, just your presence. This habit, small as it seems, will transform your relationships. You'll become someone others feel safe with, someone who doesn't just show up when it's convenient, but who makes connection a priority. And in return, you'll build a network of trust and support that no crisis can shake. Life moves fast. People drift, and it's easy to let time pass without noticing the gap. But when you build the habit of checking in, intentionally, sincerely, you close that gap before it grows. You remind people that they matter, and you remind yourself that real connection doesn't require big moments. Just one small daily act of care. In a world that constantly pulls your attention in a dozen directions, there's a quiet kind of power in deciding what matters every single day. That's where the concept of a non-negotiable comes in. It's one daily action, one choice, one habit that doesn't move, doesn't bend, and doesn't get traded for convenience. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing one thing that anchors you to who you want to be. Most people wake up and react. They check the clock, check their phone, check their calendar, and before they even take their first deep breath, they're already behind. The day controls them, but having a non-negotiable flips that. It says, this one thing, this matters, this gets done no matter what, and that clarity changes everything. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be time-consuming, it just has to be consistent. Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes. Maybe it's reading one chapter of a book. Maybe it's walking around the block without your phone, drinking a full glass of water before coffee. 10 minutes of prayer or meditation, whatever it is, it should be simple enough to do daily, but meaningful enough to matter. The point isn't productivity, it's alignment. When you do something every day that's rooted in intention, it reminds you that your day doesn't have to run you. You get to take ownership of at least one part of it. And that kind of grounded, internal ownership makes it easier to navigate the rest, because no matter how chaotic things get, you already honored something that centers you. A lot of people confuse self-care with indulgence, but real self-care is discipline. It's saying, even when I'm tired, even when I'm busy, I'll do this thing because it makes me better. That's where confidence grows, not in the high points, but in the quiet consistency of showing up for yourself without applause. There will be days when you don't feel like it. When time is tight, energy is low, or your mood just isn't there. And that's exactly when your non-negotiable matters most, because when you follow through even on the hard days, you build resilience. You prove to yourself that you're not guided by emotion or circumstance, you're guided by commitment. This isn't about being perfect. It's not about streaks or charts or checklists. It's about building an identity. Every time you keep your non-negotiable, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who follows through, someone who shows up, someone who doesn't abandon themselves when things get busy or stressful. The key is choosing the right non-negotiable. It has to be personal. It has to matter to you. Don't pick something just because it looks good or sounds impressive. Pick something that, if you do it every day, even in the smallest way, makes you feel more grounded, more clear, more connected to who you want to be. Over time, that one habit becomes a cornerstone, and from there, other habits begin to build naturally. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're operating from a place of intention, not overwhelm. It's easy to get caught up in doing more, but more doesn't always mean better. One thing done with consistency will take you further than 10 things done occasionally. Your non-negotiable is your daily vote for the person you're becoming. Make it count, because when the rest of your day is unpredictable, that one thing remains steady. It's your reset button, your personal commitment, and in a world full of noise and pressure, that kind of daily clarity is more than a habit. It's a lifeline. Courage isn't always loud. It's not always found in big speeches, dramatic decisions, or public acts of bravery. More often, it shows up quietly, in small, everyday choices that most people overlook. That's what micro-courage is. The decision to show up when it's easier to stay silent, to try when it's safer to avoid, to speak even when your voice shakes just a little. And when you practice it daily, it begins to change you. We all face moments that require courage, not just once in a while, but every single day. The problem is, we're conditioned to think that courage has to be grand or heroic to count. But that mindset causes us to miss the very real, very personal acts of bravery we already make. Every time you ask a hard question, express a need, offer an honest opinion, or step into a space where you might be judged, you're choosing courage. And the reason it matters isn't just because of the outcome. It's because of what it builds inside you. Every small act of courage rewires your sense of identity. It reminds you that you're not fragile, that you can handle discomfort. That fear doesn't get the final say. Micro courage can look like raising your hand in a meeting when you're not sure you'll say it perfectly. It can be asking for help when you've always been the strong one. It can be giving feedback, setting a boundary, or saying "I don't know" when you usually pretend you do. These moments might seem minor to the outside world, but inside, they can feel massive, and that's exactly why they matter. It's not about pushing yourself into burnout. It's about pushing yourself 1 inch past where you'd normally stop. That inch is where growth lives. That inch, repeated day after day, becomes the space where confidence is built, not from avoiding fear, but from moving through it. We tend to wait for the right time, to be brave when we're ready, when we're more experienced, when it's less risky. But waiting doesn't build courage, doing does. And the truth is, most of the time, you don't feel ready before you act. You feel ready after. The readiness comes from proof that you stepped up, even if it wasn't perfect. And here's the thing, micro courage doesn't always lead to applause. Sometimes people won't notice. Sometimes it won't go as planned, but that's not failure, that's learning, because the win isn't just in how it turns out. It's in the fact that you chose courage over comfort. Daily acts of courage compound. One moment of honesty today makes tomorrow's conversation easier. One small risk taken now creates more space for larger risks later. It's like strengthening a muscle. You don't see results overnight, but eventually you realize you're standing taller, speaking clearer, and walking into situations you used to avoid. And it's contagious. When people see you choosing courage even quietly, it gives them permission to do the same. It creates a culture where truth is valued more than performance, where effort is honored more than perfection, and where authenticity beats appearance. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment to be brave. You just have to choose one small thing each day that stretches you. Say what you mean, ask the question, raise your hand, hit send, take the step. That's how transformation begins. Not with one huge leap, but with 100 small, quiet moments of courage that no one else may even see, but you feel deeply. And with every one, you build something unshakable, not just bravery, but belief in yourself, in your voice, in your strength.